Good morning. The Orville podcast is now a major industry podcast, and you are on it right now. What is going on, you guys? Good morning to you, all of my 25th century pals. This is where our hearts reside, in the 25th century with the Orville, and we're going to talk about Orville stuff. Now, things have changed. I have changed. Something happened to me recently, a good thing, and it's something I'm very excited about, and it's something that has given me clarity. My mind is as clear as it's been since I was a little kid. Remember when you were young? Remember how just easy it was to think, how clear everything was. You weren't bogged down by life. Getting in the way of you making decisions and figuring things out for yourself. Well, that has happened to me in the last couple weeks because I've started working on my health. I've started, as many of you know, I've been fasting. Has become a lifestyle for me, something I worked up to. 2 weeks ago, I started a 2-day fast, which ended up becoming a 5-day fast. And today is actually the start, well, actually yesterday at noon, the start of a 7-day fast. And the clarity, the decisions I need to make is all just hit me right in the face. I could see everything. I'm like Lieutenant Broccoli when he became super smart and took over the holodeck. He could just see everything, all these moves ahead. And what spoke to me was, why did I start doing YouTube and content creation in the first place? Well, I always told myself it was about starting conversation, starting a community, having a communal experience, because I was alone in my little neck of the woods, and I always reminded myself of that, but I didn't know what it meant. Now I know what it means. Community, us, you guys, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing more communal stuff like the podcast, because so many of you guys for years now say, hey, you should do a podcast, you should do a podcast. And now that everyone has a podcast, I'm like, okay, yes, I should do a podcast where I can talk to people, discuss ideas and discuss possibilities. And it fired me up so much that I have all the confidence I need to make it happen, to reach out to guests and bring them on the show from the industry, from the Orville, and bring their ideas and their thoughts to you guys, and just figure stuff out together. Talk about what's going on in the world, what's going on in Hollywood, what's going on the Orville, what's going on all productions out there. And that's what we're doing right now together. And I want to thank you guys for inspiring me all these years, and I'm so glad I was able to come through, get myself in order, get my house in order, the house in my mind and in my body, and really figure out how to do this thing. So that's what is going on, and I want to talk today about Utopia. Utopia is what many of us sci-fi fans, especially classic sci-fi fans, that's why we're in the game. This whole idea of a future where mankind gets their SHIT Earl Grey hot together, and they take care of each other, and there's no money. Everyone has a place to live. Everyone has a purpose. Like in the Orville, they don't have money. They don't have currency. Their currency is their accomplishments. But even that in itself has problems in my mind. But it is something that gives us all hope. But my question is to you guys, is that hope even possible? Is a utopian future, knowing what you know about the last 50,000 years of mankind, is that something that we can achieve in just a couple hundred more years? And that's what we're going to be talking about together. We're going to decide it together. Is Utopia, a utopian future, possible? Well, it's up to us. We're going to decide. We're going to let everybody know if it's something that we should be trying to achieve or have the capability to achieve. I think we should always try to achieve it. but is it something that we're going to be able to do? And I want to know what you guys think, and we're going to talk about it, because I don't know. I have my opinions, but opinions aren't facts, right? What's going on? Brian Dawkins, official channel member. Archmage Frey, official channel member. Curtis Tate, official channel member. Kevin Scott. And there are probably more up there if I scroll. Maybe not, but I'm sure they're on their way. They are on their way. And then all you other wonderful people, how are you guys doing this morning? Now, just so you know, with this the podcast here, it's not just a podcast. It's something we do live. It's something that's available in all of your podcast grocers, freezers. It's the links down below. You can click there. You can find me on iTunes, Spotify, Google, I think, is in the works if it hasn't already popped up now, and everywhere else there are podcasts. You will find Good Morning the Orville ... And it's for people that are 25th century minded who want to just know a little bit about the behind the scenes of making a show, but also who just want to talk about the ideas and the universes that are created for us, to give us hope and give us adventures and give us pew-pews and explosions. Justin Wilson, I love the idea of Utopia, but I don't think human nature is truly compatible. Much like the Matrix, if everything is too perfect, the brain struggles to accept it. Yeah, Utopia should never be too perfect. People are still going to be people, which is a great idea that the Orville brings forth. Their original tagline for the Orville when they first came out in 2017 was 400 years in the future, but people are still people. And I think that will always be the case, and people have always been people. I think the last time we had a utopia on this planet of human beings was probably a long time ago, before currency or even before trade came about, back when we were in small little batches of, small communities, a few dozen, maybe 100 people, and everybody pulled their weight, everybody contributed, and everybody was part of this thing, and they took care of each other, but they had to sleep on the ground, and there was saber-toothed tigers and whatever eating them up, taking them in the night. A saber-toothed tiger took my baby. It's they had its problems as well. Also, where do you poop? Where do you jaloja when you live in a community like that? Somebody's gonna, walk around all of a sudden, step in Stanley's puloja. That doesn't sound fun either. Utopias existed before toilets, you guys. Mark Lawrence, thank you so much. Good morning, JP, and all Orvillians. Yes, all Orvillians, one and all. And I would even say there are people out there who are Orvillians who don't even know what the Orville is, but they have goodness in their heart, because that's what the Orville community is. We're the goodness community. Goodness gracious. Thank you, Mark, for supporting this thing called Talking the Orville, and Good Morning the Orville, and JP, thank you very much. Rico says Utopia is impossible. That would be the bailed out bankster's paradise we living in. Yes, we are. I would agree. Think about it. Think about the society that we've created. I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just saying, hey, let's think about it. You have to have a job, right? You got to have a job. In order to have a job, places are going to want you to have a place to live, a roof over your head. That roof costs money. Everything about that roof costs money. The water, the electricity. Nowadays, you have to have the internet. You just got to. You got to have a cell phone. A home phone just isn't going to work in today's society. But in order to get that job that you need to pay rent with, you already have to be paying rent to get that job. You have to wake up, you have to take a shower, because most jobs want you to smell nice and be clean. That water in that shower costs money. You got to drive to work in most cases. Traveling to work costs money. You got to pay for that car. You got to pay for that subway ticket. You got to pay for gas. And we all know what's going on with gas right now. You got to have something to eat, because work in most cases, except for when it's Rebecca's birthday, is not going to be providing you with free burritos. You got to have lunch. Either you got to buy lunch, which is what most people do because they spend so much time having to get ready for work, or you got to bring a lunch, but that's a whole extra thing you have to do to spend your time on, and you're already spending an hour or at least half an hour getting ready for work, and that's time that you are not getting paid for. How much time does it take you to get to work? All these things, we just got to pay money, and that's what society's become. And that is not a utopian society, or a society that's on their way to living within a utopian society. That's pay money in order to make money, so that you can keep paying some of that money to keep you going to make more money. Money, by the way, that has been taxed upon. We're getting hardcore with this one, I guess. My brain's just running. You make money that gets taxed before you get it, and then it gets taxed again by whatever state you live in. You get double taxed, and then that double tax money, you go buy something, and what do? They tax you just for the privilege of using that money to purchase something. So you're getting taxed 3 times. This is not a utopian society in my mind, or is it one that is on its way? Utopia, think about it. What created Star Trek, and I assume the Orville as well? What created that utopia? The discovery of endless renewable power. Once power became free and plentiful, money was not needed anymore. Everybody has power to charge your cell phone, to make the car work, all that stuff. There's a problem with that. Let me ask you this question. If renewable power all of a sudden showed up tomorrow, where we got endless power, it doesn't cost anything to make, they're going to charge you for it. Do you think they would give anybody that free power for free? No, whoever makes the free power will be charging for that free power. So even that, the thing that started Utopia in these sci-fi universes, I don't feel is a thing that's going to ever happen. There's going to be whoever has the thing to give away, they're going to charge for that thing, in my opinion. You guys might think differently, though. John Palange, we need to figure out a way to get rid of the concept of money. Heads in, guys, we can do this. I think tokens would be good. We get rid of money and we just have tokens that we trade for things, which then those tokens become money. But what about Disney dollars? Disney dollars might be pretty good, but then it just becomes money. You have to figure out a way for everybody to be provided for, but that has its own bad things about it. Many people will be provided for and they're like, yeah, let's contribute. We're getting free stuff and I got nothing to do with my life. Let's make giving back and working hard, part of this whole system that we got. Well, that's going to be great for a lot of people, but there will always be people that are like, oh, I'm getting free stuff. I'm just going to party all day, all night. I'm guessing there has to be people like that in a utopian society, in Star Trek universe, in the Orville universe. There's probably people living in an apartment in New York and everything's free and they just party all the time. That's always going to be a part of it. But also we have to decide, do we care? I'm being provided for and I don't have to provide anything back. I just choose to do so. Do I care that someone else does not choose to do so? My needs are all taken care of. There's a lot of problems. And if you break it all down, a lot of those problems are humans. Humans are the problem. Our needs, our wants, our selfish. We're selfish. Not all of us are selfish, but at some point we were probably selfish. I was very selfish much of my life. And then, you learn, you grow older, you become less selfish. For me, it was, I've always been nice, but but my needs were always, at least in my mind, a little bit more important than other people. And then I met Jessica and I have a family. I have a step kid now, and naturally my priorities and the way I think about my own needs changed, and I'm happy about that. I don't go out shopping and like, I want this, I want that. I'm like, how, what does my family want? What would make them feel provided for? And that is the first thing that comes to my mind now. And but that's just me. Everybody's different, and everybody has the right to be different, in my opinion. Yeah, arcade tokens. Tepo Topol says 50,000 free volts directly in the nips. If that's not a motivator, I don't know what else would be. Ever heard of the Mouse Utopia? I don't know if I've heard of the Mouse Utopia, but when I hear mouse, I think of Disney, the House of Mouse. And I do think, and I don't know, hey, Kevin's also an official channel member, you guys. Link down below if you want to become an official channel member and get a little extra benefits there during these live shows. When I think of Mouse Utopia, isn't that the new... Disney is coming up with like neighborhood communities where Disney builds a community, houses, and they make it all Disney like, and people could live there and live in a nice Disney neighborhood. I haven't looked into it much, but the sound of it, I would always wanted to live on Main Street, Disneyland Main Street or Disney World Main Street, because they both have one and they're very similar. I love Main Street. Luck Dragon, thank you very much for your super chat. We have the first ever, we first have to get over the false belief that a society without currency is communist. True. To address humanity, we must also address human greed before we become a utopia. Absolutely. Human greed, which is a natural thing. We want, it's a little bit of that id. It's inside of us. We want, we want things. We want to hoard things, get the meat. I have the most berries. I have the biggest cave. Look at this cool collection of elephant tusks, all in the original packaging. We have to get over that, but I don't see humanity getting over that. And if we do, it's going to be thousands and thousands of years, because we're not even close to that yet. One thing about evolution, the evolution of not only our minds, but of a society, is it takes a very long time. So I just don't, I see our future being a lot more like The Expanse. And that's one thing I appreciate about The Expanse is I'm like, I feel like a few hundred years from now, that would kind of be how our universe is, assuming we survive. But one thing about humans, we're pretty good at surviving. I don't know if all of us are going to make it, but I think there's always going to be, unless some huge, meteor or asteroid hits the Earth and wipes everything out. I think anything else, many of us will be able to survive it. I think there'll always be humans around, even if it's just a handful, but then that handful will grow, and, then all of a sudden there's just traffic everywhere again. But I think even at this point, even if an asteroid hit the Earth and destroyed everything, there'd be people that saw it coming, and they have their bunkers, and they created their bunkers to survive an asteroid hit, a catastrophe like that, and there'd probably still be a couple of people around. With enough time at last to read all the books that they wanted to read. Hopefully they have contact lenses instead of regular glasses. Kevin says there was actually a project performed by scientists back in the day. They made this perfect enclosure to breed generations of mice. Oh, okay. All the food, water, housing that they needed with no predators. And they probably kind of went crazy a little bit, I'm assuming. You got humans, at least in this point of our evolution, we need a little bit of danger. We need a little bit of trouble, just like you said with the Matrix. You can't have a perfect society because humans just are not made for that. But maybe one day we will. And we'll all be traveling around in our little Segways and just eating things like in Wall-E. Our little rascals. How did my 5-day fast go? I'm previously a chunky boy. Chunky boy, I don't think you're ready for this jelly. And I liked hearing about your journey last stream. Did you have trouble with your first meal after the fast? I did not, because I planned for it. So I didn't eat for 5 days. Right now I'm doing a 7-day fast, but it just started. But I did a full 5 days, did not eat anything. What happens is your digestive system goes into hibernation after a couple days. It goes to sleep and starts repairing itself. So what you have to do when you start eating again, you have to slowly wake up your digestive system. So what I did on that first day, when I decided, okay, today's the day I'm going to start eating, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 o'clock, I said, okay, let's start this process. I went and got one hard-boiled egg, and I ate that hard-boiled egg. And then I waited an hour, and I had an ounce or two of chicken, just a couple bites of chicken. And then I waited another hour after that, and I just had, some vegetables and a little bit more chicken, something like that, carnivorous vegetables. And after that, I was ready to go. So the next day, I could just eat whatever I wanted. Now, I still ate really healthy stuff because that's what I do. But it went absolutely great because I planned for it. I researched all the science for months and months and months. I came up with a plan. I took all the right vitamins, all the right minerals, nutrients, at the right time of day. And I had 0 negative effects. Never got hungry once. Never got tired once. In fact, the opposite. My energy went through the roof, and it increased a little bit every single day. And it has not stopped since. I started eating again a week ago, and my energy level is still sky high from the time I wake up in the morning till I go to bed. I go to bed with extremely high energy, yet I am still able to fall asleep within just a couple minutes and stay asleep pretty much throughout the whole night, which is a new one on me. My whole adult life, living unhealthily, you wake up all the time in the middle of the night. You have a hard time going to sleep. If you wake up, you have a hard time going back to sleep. All of that is gone. And I was so excited. I was going to do another 5-day fast starting today, but I was so excited I started it yesterday instead. And I'm going to go 2 days longer because it's just been so incredibly beneficial. And my brain's working again, you guys. Finally. It hasn't worked correctly since I was in elementary school, and now it's working again. I can't believe it. Luck Dragon, thank you very much for your support. Personal experience. Be careful with fasting. Yeah, I did all my research first. So I'm doing it the scientific method. Losing weight like crazy and feeling amazing. But yeah, don't just jump into it. A friend of mine, she just jumped right. She saw that I was doing that. She wanted to make a change, and she started a 5-day fast that day. And I said, and she did good, but she had a lot of, tired, hungry, stuff like that. And I'm like, you should have talked to me first. I would have gotten you prepared for at least a week or two before you started this thing. Get you all the right nutrients. Nutrients is important. Salt is important. Potassium is important. Magnesium is important. Lug Dragon, also thank you for becoming an Ego Trooper by joining the channel. You are helping the 25th century just get more egotastic. Teppo says, I have lost about 88 pounds. Congratulations, by the way. That's incredible. By fasting a year. And what you just described is the absolute correct thing. One thing I can recommend, olive oil before meal or before meal after fast. Yes, olive oil before I started. Like right now, I'm not doing olive oil at all, even though it wouldn't spike insulin or anything like that. But when I'm just regular, my daily intermittent fasting, because even when I'm not fasting, I usually only eat once every 24 hours. But yeah, I do put olive oil. You can put it on your salad. You can have a spoonful of it, whatever you want to do. It's really good for you. Absolutely. Justin Wilson, I guarantee I admire anyone who has the willpower to eat a proper healthy diet. I do enough to stop myself from becoming a blob, but I really, really love unhealthy food. Oh, don't we all? Unhealthy food. Oh my God. You mac and cheese anything, and I'm all about it. You deep fry anything, I'm all about it. You could deep fry a hacky sack, I would have eaten it. It took me years to get to where I am now as far as my relationship with food, because all of society, talk about utopian society, all of society is against you on this. Society, all of our society that we've created ourselves wants you to eat the worst stuff as often as possible. It's easier, it's cheaper, and come on, it's yummier. Come on, McDonald's French fries are way yummier than a baked potato. Let's just get that out of the way right now. We all know this. But you think of a utopian future. They got yummy foods, but it's replicated for the most part. So I always assumed all the yummy desserts and stuff that we've seen, not only on the Orville pot brownies, but on Star Trek. Deanna Troi loved her chocolate. She loved that chocolate cake and chocolate ice cream and chocolate anything. I assumed those were replicated to be healthy in some way, some form. That you're not going to be put on weight with a replicated scoop of chocolate ice cream. It is not an appetizing reason, but the oil helps with your poop. Poop. I remember poop. Pooploja, everyone. It helps with a lot of things. One of the most basic things I find anyone can do to improve their health is limit their sugar intake. Absolutely. And I'm talking about sugar. What I did 2 weeks before I started my first fast is I eliminated sugar 100%. For 2 weeks, I limited carbs. I brought down to 0% except for what's found in healthy vegetables, because there are healthy carbs out there. And sugar, I did 0. Not even natural sugar did I do. And I still pretty much do that, except for on Saturday, I decided, I'm going to start another day fast, and I've been having 0 sugar, 0 carbs for a few weeks now. So I did, because I took Jessica on a date on Saturday. And I said, hey, let's go to this bakery, get a little something. So I got, I don't know, some little mousse thing or something like that. I'm like, oh, wow, I haven't had sugar in forever. It was fine. And after I ate it, I was like, it's delicious, but I haven't craved sugar since. My body just doesn't crave it anymore, but I had to work at it. It's not something you can just do like that. Your brain is going to want to get all those things that it's used to. It's just going to want to get them back. Give me my sugar. Yeah, sugar is the real horror of our modern diet. Also, another reason that I didn't have to quit sugar completely, but one reason I did is when you quit sugar, you pretty much become cancer proof. Cancer lives on sugar. If it doesn't have sugar, it dies. So I was like, oh, let me get rid of sugar because I don't ever want to have cancer. But also there's a lot of other health benefits as well. But also you have to make sure that you eat things that doesn't make your body create sugar. Your body can create sugar. So you have to make sure you're putting stuff in your body, and it takes research. I can't go through all of it today, but your body will make sugar if you eat certain things that don't even have sugar in them. Utopia is when we can eat all we want and it won't matter. Hedonism without the consequences. Agreed. Just like I said in Star Trek, I bet you can eat anything you want and it won't matter. Kind of like some people say heaven is like that. In heaven, you can eat everything you want and you won't gain a pound. The movie Defending Your Life with Al Brooks. You can eat all you want in that movie because it takes place in heaven. And they said, and it's one of the things everybody loved. They're like, oh, you can just eat whatever you want as much as you want, and you won't gain a pound. That sounds like a pretty awesome heaven to me. Heaven brought to you by Weight Watchers. Feces-based crypto. Poopcoin. That makes me think of guano. Hasn't bat guano been used as currency in some societies and some cultures? One answer to having less land to cultivate would be vertical gardens in small skyscrapers. It will become necessary as the human population continues to rise. Agreed. And also, notice the first thing you see in the Orville, in Old Wounds, the pilot episode, 2017. The first thing you see, the very first shot, is New York City skyline. And guess what's covered on all those skyscrapers? Gardens. They all have plants on them. Absolutely amazing. It's actually something that's already happening in our own society in certain community projects in urban areas. They are doing that on some buildings where they're allowed to do that without being shooed away. Is vegan diet okay? Absolutely, a vegan diet is okay. You just want to make sure you're getting the nutrients you need, and you got to be careful with sugar, because for some reason vegan diets, they want to have mock versions of things, like pretend meat, pretend this, pretend that. And I don't know why. I'm like, if I was vegan, I wouldn't even try to have a fake piece of meat. I'd enjoy those vegetables, which I do now a lot of the time. I know a lot of vegans in my life, and there's a lot of sugary snacks going on. So you just got to be careful, and that's with any diet. Be careful with the sugary snacks, because sugar is still vegan. So I know a lot of vegans that are healthy, and I know a lot of vegans that are not healthy at all. But yeah, just make sure you get your proteins from vegetable products, because protein's also very important. But you don't have to have meat to get protein. There's lots of other ways. Oh, Tommy Pickles is investing in GNO? Get it now. I read that there is a genuine concern about the population shrinking in recent years. Good. I don't believe any of us think there's not enough people on this planet. As long as they're shrinking and not hurting, we can afford to have less people. We can afford to have less people for many, 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 many years. JP needs a cameo on the Orville. Oh, that would be nice, Saberwolf. We just got to get that season 4. Get that season 4 going. Maybe they'll give me a full-on recurring role. Or maybe I'll just be a walk-on. Or maybe I'll just hand out coffee to the staff. I'll accept any of it. But you are here at the new podcast now. Of course, there's going to be the live podcast like we're doing right now every week. But also that this isn't it. There's also going to be interviews and all kinds of other stuff going on. I'm already reaching out right now, trying to get as many interviews scheduled ahead of time from cast, crew, people in the industry, so that I can bring you guys a lot of insight from the actual industry. The industry is what entices my brain the most. Having deep conversations about people that know about this stuff, how things are made, how impossible it is, seemingly impossible, to make a movie or a TV show or almost anything that's a creation, but it all gets done anyway. People come together and they're able to get these things done. But at the beginning, when you just sit there and think about it, it seems like, how are we going to get this done? There's so many things to do. I plan on doing an interview with some of the cast and crew of the Orville soon about how impossible it was once they got back into the studio after filming restrictions were lifted from the pandemic. Because I did talk to Tom Constantino, editor and producer of the Orville, during the pandemic, after they got shut down, just a few months after they got shut down, and what that was about, how it went, some of the struggles, but then all the struggles that came about when they were allowed back in. They were allowed to film again, but the restrictions were so hard. How did they get over that? We're going to have a conversation about that soon. Plan on talking to Jay Lee. Plan on talking to Ann Winters. I'm trying to get a time set with her. Don't know how long it'll take. Maybe soon. Maybe a couple months. Maybe a couple months. It shouldn't take any longer than that, but it should be ahead of that. So we're going to be doing weekly conversations here live, also behind the scenes with people that make the show, and I'm going to be bringing in some other people in the industry from other projects to talk about making things and how it seems impossible but it gets done. The impossible getting done is another thing that gives us hope, just like utopian future gives us hope. I don't think a utopian future is possible, but I do very much enjoy it being shown to me in these sci-fi series, very few sci-fi series, as something to give us hope. Because just because I don't think a utopian future is going to happen anytime soon, and I mean in the next couple hundred years, it doesn't mean it's not something that we should still strive for. Just getting a little bit better, a little bit more utopian is something that'll make our lives better and make our relationships with other people and the world better. Just knowing that things can be better. They don't have to be all the way better, but just a little bit is enough to make a huge difference. Hashtag JP on the Orville. I almost feel like I have been on the Orville. And who knows what season 3 will bring. I once ate vegan for a week, then got tired of it and left. Got tired of me and left. Yeah, there's nothing like a vegan that just became a vegan. I've had that experience with somebody else as well. I'm vegan. Every conversation leads to veganism, but people that have been a vegan for a long time, they hardly ever talk about it. They just do it. They walk the walk and don't worry about talking the talk. Trek Orville style matter replication is the key to changing the world. Wonder if such a thing will ever be possible. I can see a replicator reorganizing atoms and stuff like that becoming a thing, but I think those machines are going to be very, very expensive. Even if they're free to make, they won't just give them away to people for free. They'll make you pay for them. And they'll have a monthly service fee. Without a doubt. The Church of the Orville. The Church of Orville. Some people say praise Avis. No, Avis is not my god. I believe in Kelly. I don't know about the Orville, but in Trek we had to go through a lot of specific things before we got to Utopia. Yeah, wars. World War III, eugenics wars, contact with a relatively peaceful and enlightened species. And in one reality, that species came down and we attacked them and took their stuff. And in another reality, we made peace and we lived long and prospered. Oh, that episode of Enterprise, the Mirror Universe one, the two-parter, the opening scene where we see the first contact with the Vulcans and Cochrane and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, they took a scene from the movie. And then all of a sudden they started attacking him. I'm like, what? What just happened? And then they had the theme song, which was amazing. That blew my mind back then. A good vegan is the kind that don't tell you they're vegan. That goes with good people as well. Good people don't tell you they're good. They just do it. Mad idolatry was a clear representation of how our world has been substitute a smart guy named Jesus for Kelly and shows where we can hopefully be in the future. Absolutely. Well, hopefully be in their... We caught up to their present. We were at their... Well, we're always at their present, but that future version of the multiphasic planet, that was their present at the time. Who knows what happens 700 years later when their intergalactic babysitter, Isaac, leaves. They had a babysitter from space for 700 years. People are they're gonna act good. They're gonna be on their best behavior. But what happens when Isaac left? Did they continue that? Or did things eventually fall apart over the next few hundred years? Hopefully we do find out. Because that is a planet that I want an update on. Instead of replicators, we'll probably have programmable matter like in Discovery. I don't know. Can you eat programmable matter? Because that makes me that changes my opinion one way or another. can I eat it? If I can eat it, I want it. If I could just, make Legos. I've had enough Lego time in my life. I'm never using a teleporter though. I like how Orville uses shuttles. I'm not risking being replaced by a reconstructed clone. Yeah, there is that philosophical theory, which doesn't have to be a theory. If you just do the science, it seems like it's probably true. You're being reconstructed. Your atoms are being it's all replicated and reconstructed. So yeah, there is always that that chance that when you beam somewhere, it's just a clone of yourself. Now, whether or not that matters, because if you don't even know it, does it matter? That's a philosophical question right there. Babysitter from Space. Was that an actual 80s movie? If not, we need to get to work on that script. I'm sure we could bang out that script in like an hour and a half. But Babysitter from Space definitely sounds like it could have been an 80s movie, and I'm sure there was probably some nudity in it. Because most space movies or B movies from the 80s did. T. Stoney, morning. Good morning to you. The invention of replicators would spark World War III. Everyone else against McDonald's. Or McDonald's against everyone else. But would McDonald's win? I think they could. They'll put out sanctions on their French fries. They're not going to give us French fries anymore. I mean, that's what's going to bring down Russia, not having McDonald's French fries. I mean, we know it. No one's saying it, but we know it. It all depends on if the matter is protein-based or material-based. If it's protein-based, I'll slap some A1 sauce on it and give it a try. Can we make a circuit board from the trail mix, programmable matter? Yeah, you can. Circuit board's sticky. Yeah, there was little mini marshmallows in that trail mix. If you can see both places at once, then it's still you. Very good, Mark Lawrence. That's definitely something to think about. Yeah, because if they're just deconstructing you into atoms and actually sending those atoms over to the other location and reassembling them, which also sounds like something I'm never going to do. I don't care how how normalized it becomes. Is it a whole new version of you, or is it just your atoms taken apart and put back together? Sounds easier to clone somebody than it does to do that, right? That's some crazy technologies right there. Tepos just said something. There it is. McNapalm versus Taco Bell. Which one will scorch your ass worse? Make a run for the neutral zone. Did the marshmallow come from the official Star Trek V marshmallow dispenser? Yes, it did. And it's official. It is copywritten. They got all the rights to any Disney dollars that they make from that machine. I'll transport all that food out of my tummy. Heck yeah, eating competitions would be a whole new thing. Hoo. Damn, YouTube just got notifications. Yeah, YouTube's not the best at updating everybody. Actually, only update a certain percentage of your followers. Maybe 10% if you're lucky. I highly recommend watching CGP Gray's video, The Trouble with Transporters. Yeah, that sounds good, because that's stuff I think about. I think about, a technology in one of these sci-fi universes. I'm like, how would that really work as far as like a day-to-day thing, living with that technology? What would be the pros and the cons of that? Think of your body as if it were a complex data set. The transporter decompiles you as a whole, including your body's energy, It then beams all that energy to a specific point and recompiles it. The ultimate defrag. Imagine having a transporter implant in your gut. Eat all you want and it will never impact you. And you never... That's why they don't have bathrooms on starships, you guys. They'll have transporter guts. They call them gut porters. Just swallow a tribble after each meal. Well, a shaved tribble. The tribble will eat the food in your gut, and later you can take a fuzzy poop because the hair grows back. I wish we had spent more time with the two Rikers from the episode of TNG. Oh, Thomas Riker and one of DS9. Now, the whole idea of Thomas Riker having a transporter clone, because they do have transporters in the Orville universe, just the Union doesn't have them. But the Union doesn't have them not because of some rule, like in Star Trek, Starfleet didn't have cloaking devices, just as like from a treaty. The Union doesn't have transporters just because they have not invented that technology, but other alien races have. The Caliban have transporters. I'm assuming there's other races out there that have them. If the Caliban were able to create transporters, I don't see why the Kalon wouldn't be able to do this, to figure out the same thing. Now, the Union does have something that no other race has, from what I can tell. Time travel machine, the anti-banana ray. The anti-banana ray, I think, is going to be a huge part of season 3. I think they're going to be expanding upon it even more to make some more controllable time travel experiences possible. Perhaps the anti-banana rays technology will be a part of the Orville refit. I mean, the Orville has been refitted. I think it's going to have Kalon technology incorporated into it. I also think, hey, there might be some anti-banana ray aspects to it. I don't know what they'll use it for. I think the accidental aftermath might be time travel, but maybe they use time to, I don't know, make them go faster or get rid of asteroids. Who knows? When they're flying around, who knows? Instead of a deflector shield, we'll have to see what they come up with. But I think the anti-banana ray is coming back in a big way. If the Kalon evolved from the interphasic planet, they should have access to transporters, or at least the historic knowledge to build them. That race did have. That's another race that had transporters. But, time goes by, 700 years go by, technologies get lost. It took us hundreds or thousands of years to recreate the recipe for concrete on this planet. The Greeks or the Romans had the recipe for concrete, and then we just forgot. It took us forever to figure it out again. Because who knows what happens to that planet? Maybe they create AI. They enslave the AI. The AI fights back. The planet gets destroyed, or everything on the planet gets destroyed. Everything biological gets destroyed from war, from nukes or some sort of technology like that, except for the AI. So maybe the knowledge gets destroyed as well as how to do transporters. Priya from the 29th century had transporter technology, and when she used it, and it's a very different transporter technology, it was more pixelated. You come back kind of pixelated, and then you form, which was kind of cool, a cool visual effect. The 29th century had transporter technology, and Ed even said, "Oh, it's nice to know that we have transporter technology in the 29th century," and then that was all that was said about that. So yeah, transporters exist. It's just the Union has not created that as of yet. But I can't wait to see what new technologies are created for season 3, because there's going to be some. Isaac created all kinds of stuff. Besides turning the anti-banana ray into a legit suck you out of time device, he also created the holographic emitter that Ed and Gordon used in the Krill episode, where they were able to pretend like they were Krill. They didn't have to get implants, like was done often in TNG. They just had a little hollow emitter. I think it was maybe on their wrist. I can't remember where they wore it. and boom, you can be whatever you want. Yeah, imagine coming back in low res. Well, hell, I wouldn't mind coming back in low res. I'd probably look better in low res. Baghdad battery. Electrolysis on metal. Tech wasn't reinvented for a few 100 years. What? Maybe electrolysis. Teleportation, not transporter. Quote correctly. I will not do what I want. Yeah, teleportation. I bet you that was a conversation. If he said teleportation, I bet you that was a conversation on set. Should we use the word transporter because the Star Trek might get mad? No, we got to change it to teleportation. I got to have a teleportation pad or transporter pad. Just like they didn't have what was the technology they used? They had they called it the push, like they had a deflector ray or something like that, or a I can't remember the name of it, but they called it a push ray or something like that, a nudge ray. What if the metaphasic AI joined forces with the Kaylon? Well, my theory is the metaphasic AI are the Kaylon from thousands of years ago. That they evolved into the Kaylon planet that we know today. Because then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is just much better writing. That if Kelly never went to that planet and Isaac didn't stay behind for 700 years, that the Kaylon never would have existed. Because then it's like, oh man, we're the reason that that all sentient life in the galaxy is at risk from the Kaylon. The Kaylon never would have existed. But how are we supposed to know? You can't blame yourself, Kelly. Damn it, Kelly, don't blame yourself. Or like that Lower Decks episode where Boimler was just half transported and he was just making the whining sound all day. Yeah. Legally distinct transporter. That's what they should call it. Let's go use the legally distinct transporter. Go to legally distinct transporter room 4. Galaxy Quest called it the Digitizer. Oh, that's right. And I guarantee you they called it that because they didn't want to get into any legal trouble. They were already making fun of Star Trek, like legit making fun of Star Trek or having fun with Star Trek in that movie. So they probably tried to keep stuff as different as they could. The shoving ray. There you go. Man, it's been a long time since I watched that episode. I watch a lot of season 2. Season 2 and Old Wounds. Those are the ones I usually have to go back to all the time for things. A teleporter is different from a transporter. There was a TNG episode where an alien race used teleportation to kidnap people on the Enterprise, but it caused biological issues. I wonder what the difference between teleporter and transporter is, like officially. John, and you know what, John? I'm sorry if I say your name, your last name wrong. I always say Palange, but it could be Palange, it could be Palange, it could be Palange. But John, you guys sent me this. Made of wood. It's the Planetary Union Central emblem. It's beautiful. It's right here, and I love it. It's the best Orville thing I've ever received. And so it gets showcased right here because it reminds me, keeps me staying on track. The digital conveyor. So how come the Orville doesn't have transporters? Hey Elise, how you doing? Elise is one of the creators of the Orville 2D games. New one is coming soon. Absolutely is a huge upgrade from the previous one, but the previous one was great, and you can find it now. The Orville 2D Rescue. You can find it now. Play it for free. It's a lot of fun. What was your question? So how come the Orville doesn't have transporters? I believe it's for a few reasons. They don't want to be that close to the Star Trek universe as far as how everything works, but also I think it's for writing purposes. Transporter stories are boring. You can fix any issue if you have a transporter. Oh my God, we're about to die. Boo, you get beamed out just in time. When you don't have that, you have to rely on smarter writing to get out of a situation or to even get into a situation. So you don't have that, oh God, beam them away. Oh, they beamed them away. Everything's fine. No, they have to actually figure out how to get out of a situation without using transporters. Imagine how easy it would have been to get Kelly and Bortus out of that Gilliac camp if they had transporters. Just beam them out, no problem, all good. But no, they actually had to fight their way out, which didn't work so well for them. But it was a fun scene to watch, and they had to bide their time and wait for a rescue. A 3D rescue. Yes, Jonathan, this is brand new. Just received it on Saturday. Put it on the wall yesterday, and you guys are the first to see it. But you won't be the last because this sucker ain't going nowhere. I love it. I'm actually going to be changing my backdrop a little bit. Put some. I got a lot of cool Orville stuff. You know, some sent to me from fans, but also stuff sent to me from the Orville production, and I'm going to be displaying it behind me there. I don't need that stupid VR headset. I don't use that crap. I don't use no stupid VR, you guys. Why? Because it's bulky and a pain in the butt for what you get out of it. Give me wireless VR. Don't give me any VR at all. I'm going to live in real life, damn it. Yes, I am too. Elihu says, I'm waiting for, or Elihu. I'm just going to say what I want to say. We're going to call you EW. Call you who? I'm waiting for Orville Funko Pops. That's my number one. I want Orville Funko Pops. Is the Orville worthy of Funko Pops? I say yes. All in favor say aye. I think Seth said exactly that in an interview. He didn't want to rely on teleportation as a crutch. Yeah. I mean, I assumed that right away, but also, yeah, I think I did hear him say that. They have transporters. It's just they know for sure that it kills the original. So they're like, no, it's unethical. Do you think Seth will troll Star Trek by having a Kaelon go against the others? Be the Orville version of Hugh? A rough Kaelon? A rogue Kaelon? Yes, we already have one. He's done it already. Isaac is that Kaelon. He is the rogue. Oh, you mean some new Kaelons? Yes, I would like that very much. I think that'd be a good story. Hugh, of course, only did that because we intervened. Gave him a little bit of his own, a little bit of identity because we nursed him back to health. You nurse a Borg back to health and give him a little individuality and send him back. It's not going to go well. So I would like to see. Now I think we are going to get that with Mockless. I think because Mockless society, their culture has been ran by propaganda and lies. Now, of course, the vast majority of the population does not realize that, but what happens when they do realize that? What if the union puts sanctions on Mockless where they don't get McDonald's French fries either? What are the people going to do? Because there's obviously Mocklins that aren't jerks, that aren't a bunch of toxic they're not an analogy for toxic masculinity. Like the whole reason for Mockless is to be an analogy for toxic masculinity and things that might evolve from a world that is just that. What if everybody was a douchebag? That's what Mockless is. But obviously not everybody is. We have the Mocklin couple that they had a daughter and we're trying to get it to the sanctuary. What about Havina's parents? Havina's parents, she was born, she was female, and they're like, oh my God, but we love her. So they went and hid in the mountains, in the caves for the rest of their lives, just to make sure that she gets to be who she wants to be. So I'm guaranteed there's other people on that planet that are like that. So what happens when everyone starts to realize that what's been going on Moklis? I think we're going to have a revolution on our hands. Yeah, refuse cigarette sales to Moklis. That actually would be a very fun experiment on the show. So Clyden and Bortus were introduced to cigarettes, to nicotine, and their biology is incredibly addicted to that. But nobody on Moklis would ever know that. They didn't know they were addicted to this because their species had never been introduced to tobacco and nicotine. So you don't know it until you're introduced to it. So it's not something that they ever could have thought of ahead of time or fought against or prepared for, because they just didn't know what the hell it is. What happens if the planet of Moklis gets introduced to cigarettes? That would be very interesting. But also, you don't want to beat a joke to the ground as well. Yep, the Caliban have transporters. So that technology is out there. Yeah, Joe Camel takes out the planet. Oh! What if we got into a war with Moklis, which seems very likely of happening, being that we're not happy with Moklis. Moklis is not happy with us. Our cultures are just too different. Like Ed said, our differences cut to the bone of our morals, something like that. It's just too different. So what happens if Moklis decides to start a war with us or something like that? What weapon would we use? We'd use a biological weapon called cigarettes. Get them all addicted to cigarettes. Get them distracted by their addiction. They're too busy smoking to actually fight in the war correctly, and we could take them down with cigarettes. Xanady Zuzu. Thank you very much. Placard right here by John Palange. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'll just call you JP. How about that, John? JP sent this to me. Got it Saturday. Absolutely adore it. I want to light it up. I just don't have the technology to make that happen right now. Yeah, that is dark chemical warfare. How did you win the Mocklin War? Oh, because we took Moklis to Flavor Country. Mother effers. Episode idea from Archmage. Maybe Isaac decides to change his outer casting to distance himself from the Kalon he no longer believes in, and to put the crew at ease, but is convinced not to in the end. Well, I know you're talking about a little bit more than just a slight change, like really union it up and stuff like that. But Isaac does have a whole new body, basically a whole new metal body. If you look at season 3 Isaac and season 1 and 2, Isaac's got a lot more stuff going on. He's got like shoulder pads. He's got more of a chest plate now. I don't know if he's supposed to be battle hardened, but I don't think his new look is going to be softening any hearts. He doesn't look like, mean. He still looks like Isaac, but he's got a whole new body going on for season 3. But I keep expecting, I've expected it since episode 6, season 1, Krill, with that holographic emitter, that someday Isaac would just show up on the ship looking human, or however he wants to look. I figured Mark Jackson would show up on the bridge, sit in Isaac's chair, and everyone's like, hello, can we help you? And it's like, Captain, it is me, Isaac. Just wearing that emitter so he can look however he wants to look to put people at ease. I think Isaac might have to actually... People are not happy with Isaac in season 3. Despite there being a utopia, people are still people. And and people are mad at Isaac. They're afraid that he can turn at any moment. Thousands upon thousands of people died because of his betrayal. And I think Isaac might have to go into hiding at some point. They might have to have him have a holographic body every once in a while, depending, when they're in mixed company, in order to protect him from being mobbed. At least that's how I would do it. If Isaac's eyes are artificially created to comfort humans, why do the rest of the Kalons have eyes? That is a very good question. Because Isaac just said that. That doesn't mean that was true. Isaac at that point was a spy, a betrayal. We know that those lights are actually guns inside of his head. So I think Isaac was lying when he said that. Because those lights inside of his head are turrets that come out of his head and shoot people right in their dumb faces. So you can't really trust anything Isaac said about his programming or his people prior to Identity Part 1. Some of it I'm sure you can, but you're going to have to pick and choose and find out if there's anything that that contradicts, which that one does contradict. I really wanted to see Penny go on a date with Yaphet as a human. Well, the last time they were hanging out on good terms, I did not like watching it when it comes to Yaphet and Claire. I still don't like watching that. It's funny, but also it's kind of creepy. Claire was ready for that jelly. She could handle it. Oh, but also you can also think that Isaac was telling the truth about the eyes, because just because the eyes were created for humans, biologicals, that could have been created the original Kalon because they were slaves to biologicals that were very much like humans. The eyes were created for those people, for the original biological Kalon, not for the humans on the ship. But Isaac could take a little bit of truth, turn it into a lie that still sounds true, and is partly true. Boom, Luck Dragon's got it as well. The Kalons once worked for the living humanoids of Leylon. Thus they had, thus they had eyes to appear more humanoid to their creators. We got it. And if that's not true, it sounds true. It sounds true enough to be true. The Beautiful Ones, coming to a society near you. And all right, you guys, so let's decide. I want to know from everybody, is a utopian future possible, or is it impossible? And if it's possible, how long do you think it's going to take? I think another 50,000 years, assuming it's possible at all. But that's even I don't even know if we're going to last another 50,000 years. But some form of us, I think, will last. As long as the planet isn't ripped apart, I think there's always going to be something of us somewhere on this planet, and maybe other planets as well. Elise says, no such thing as perfect. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. There's no such thing as perfect, but also perfect is the enemy of the good enough. And I'm coming with that from the point of view of a creator. I know very well that trying to make the perfect thing will stop you from making anything. And that's one of the things, that's one of the moments of clarity I've had recently. I'm like, okay, you have to know your limits. And I might do a video about this. You have to know your limits. Here's the things I can do. I can write. I can perform on camera and film. I can edit. I can do all the administrative work, upload all that stuff. I can create things and I can do all those things. But here's the problem. I can't do all of those things at once. So I am figuring out a new way to go forward to give people the entertainment that they want, and hopefully better entertainment that they want, and more betterer experiences as a community, as a fandom, and but also not waste my time on things that don't matter as much. Making that perfect thing, and killing yourself to do it when it's never going to be perfect anyway. So that's why I'm making changes that, you may notice, you may not notice, but my life, the way I create, it'll be very noticeable to me. And really that's what matters, I guess. All right, we have some coming in. It's a pipe dream. Justin says perfection is a flawed concept. John says, I vote possible, maybe. We'll always. Elise says, we will always be fallible, but progress is possible. Baby steps to the utopia. That's my vote as well. We can always be better. We may never be perfect. But also we have to question our idea of what utopia is. Is utopia perfect? I mean, not having to go to the bathroom, that sounds pretty perfect. But they probably do go to the bathroom in a utopia. They just don't show it on network television. It's possible, but it requires substantial paradigm shifts and emotional and intellectual evolution. That's going to be a while, but I see that as well. John Burns, JP, Utopia is possible. That sounds like a great propaganda poster. Utopia is possible. So no cold feet before your wedding. That's a utopia. I'm getting married at the end of the year. Links down below if you want to give us well wishes. Or maybe they're not down below. I might have erased that. Anyway, I'm getting married and I'm super excited about it, and I've very much appreciated all your well wishes, so thank you very much. Elihu, a utopian future can only happen if outside intervention happens. Aliens. We argue over invisible lines drawn on the ground saying you need permission to cross that line, but the line must be drawn here, no further. Very good. We have gone from bashing rocks to exploring space in 10,000 years. We can either destroy ourselves or expand into space. Interstellar travel might be impossible for... it's going up for biology, though. And you introduced, Teppo, the thing that all classic sci-fi is about. Will our own ingenuity destroy us? The best of sci-fi is always about that, and you bring that up, and it's a great conversation in itself. Maybe we should talk about that in one of these live podcasts. Let's see. Maybe once humans have done a significant amount of evolving, I mean, right now we aren't even developed enough to use our own tech responsibly. Absolutely. I truly believe we, as a society, are not ready mentally, in an evolutionary scale, for the technologies that we have created. Many of the technologies, some of them are pretty awesome. Flushing, that's awesome. We did a good job, humanity. Flushing is awesome. Social media, we're not, too many of us are not quite ready, but who knows? Living with it for a few decades, we might learn to use it better and more responsibly. And from a more humane place. Humans are so closed-minded. For some reason, I heard Q's voice when I read that. Tech is not evil or good. It's how it's used. I agree. And people keep using that flush. Mistakes is how we make progress, so be glad for them. I love that sentiment right there. Unless we can develop artificial gravity, environmental conditions, then we ain't getting nothing when it comes to space. Yeah, without gravity, we'll fall apart pretty quick. Well, especially when we get out of gravity. Remember The Expanse, the Belters. Gravity sucks if you're a Belter. Utopia is impossible as it goes against human nature. At this point, I think that is currently true. Who knows how our nature may change? A long time from now it will take, because things are meant to, in order for us to survive, we have to change slowly. I mean, unless you get blown up. You can't really adapt for being blown up. But you know, the best way to stay around longer is to change slowly in all the right ways, in the ways that you even know you needed to change, and you didn't even know you did change. You have no limits as a creator. You can achieve whatever you put your mind to. Peace, love, live long and prosper. Peace, love, long life. I shall take that as. Love it. Well, you said when we hit socialized energy, that's a good framework to start with. But what Mage said emotional intellectual evolution with a better ability to adapt. What? I heard Spock. I heard Spock. You guys are I mean, I don't know if Spock ever said that, but that sounds like something Spock would say. So good job with that one, Kevin. A utopia isn't perfect. It's just better. a more betterer future. If I created a sci-fi show, that would be what everyone longed for. A more betterer future. It would be in the society's constitution. Later, fellow weirdos. All right, Elihu. Get your Utopia Plus subscription for only $7.99 a month. And right there, you took away the Utopia part. It was a Utopia Plus until it cost money. Utopia should not cost money. Society, because I guarantee you, if Utopia becomes a thing, at least for a while, they're going to charge you for it. Kirk destroyed a civilization's utopia to make them free. Free! We want to be free! If we go to space, I have a good idea where we can get a free car. But we all have to share it, and there's only one. I still think it would be great to have the Orville find that Tesla floating out in space in an episode like they found old space probes. Right? Oh, I love that. That is good. And I think that's something the Orville would do. But also, I think the Orville could also make it where they already found it a couple hundred years ago. The Union's been around a long time. The Union has been in space for over a century in the Orville universe, if you guys didn't know. So maybe they already found it at one point. And it's in a museum somewhere. Utopia, better YouTube monetization. Oh, YouTube monetization is nothing. A lot of people think I make money off of YouTube views. I do not. It's always been 5 years. Very little. You could pay a phone bill or two. The rest all comes from support. You can't really adapt to being blown up. Yeah, you can quote me on that. That's when I die, that'll be on my tombstone. On my tombstone, it's going to say, you can't adapt to blowing up. Human nature has changed over the last 10,000 years. We learn and evolve as a society. There will always be warmongers, but there will always be the peacemakers and teachers of intellectualism. I agree with that as well. It just depends on who has the power to suppress the other. We know who has the power in our society as of today. I bet it isn't red anymore. The sun tends to bleach space objects. Oh, I bet you he put some he probably put suntan lotion on it. It's probably brown. Even in Voyager, the Q lost their will to advance because they had achieved omnipotence and lost the will to change or struggle. Yeah, that is such a wonderful philosophical question. Living a perfect life that's just easy and you got everything you want. What does that do to you as an individual, as a person? Your will to live, your will to do anything. The Good Place, the finale, last couple episodes of The Good Place, that question was brought up as well. Living in a utopia, a perfect utopia, where you have everything you want when you want. As humans, it makes us dumb. It really makes us dumb, and that was explored in The Good Place. I won't I won't give any spoilers for those of you who haven't seen it, because if you haven't seen The Good Place, you need to correct that situation. The Good Place changed my brain. Changed the way I thought about the universe and humanity on a grander scale. That show did. It shouldn't. It's just a dumb comedy, but man, it's a dumb comedy that makes you think. John Vocatura. Long time no talk. Hi, buddy. How goes the chat? It goes well. As per usual, this chat is the best chat on all the chats, on all the interwebs. I've gone to other chats. They're nothing like this one. This is real conversation, really wonderful ideas. And that's another reason I decided to lift up some of the content, some of the things that we talk about on this channel and the stuff that I make. Because I'm like, because I know you guys, and you guys know me, and we've been learning about each other for years now, many of us. And I'm like, these are smart people. These are people that don't always have to talk about pew-pews and explosions as much as we like them. There's ideas, and the sci-fi that we love, the sci-fi that's brought us together, is full of ideas. Not yes or no answers to these questions, but exploration of these questions. Things to talk about, to figure things out together. Not by just saying, here's the answer. No. The Orville, they never said, here's the answer, even when about a girl. We were all saying, all of us viewers were like, no, let Topa remain the way that she was born. But that's not what happened. Because they presented both sides of the argument from both species, and they both had good arguments. Of course, we know what we side with, but it didn't give us the right answer. It just gave us the question for us to answer for ourselves. And that's what great sci-fi does, and that's what the Orville does. Apple released a series, Asimov's Foundations. Yeah, I keep hearing about that. A lot of the same stuff we have been chatting about. I thought it was fantastic. That's very much something that I would enjoy. I would just have to sign up for Apple. Another thing to sign up for. But yeah, it's questions. It's exploring the ideas that of our universe, of our life, of our existence, of right and wrong. That captivates me more so than ever in my life, and that's kind of where I want to go with the things that I create, so that I can always keep my mind sharp, keep the ideas flowing, because ideas are the best thing. The ideas is what's going to get us closer to that utopian society. Hopefully not a perfect utopian society, but a closer to a utopian society, because an actual utopian society doesn't sound that great. But a kind of partial one does sound pretty good to me. The dog is barking out there. That's Ruthie. She's a dorgie, and she is a pretty darn good dog. But you guys, I want to thank you for being on this journey with me. We're going to be going and exploring a lot more places right here on YouTube. And don't forget, if you are interested in listening to these conversations, as well as interviews, which are more like conversations. I don't like interviews. I like conversations. With people in the industry, right now available for the Good Morning the Orville podcast, which is available everywhere podcasts are baked delicious in the oven every morning. You can find it. We got Tom Costantino, we have Jay Lee, we also have a great conversation with Mark Zekri, creator of Space Command, as well as many wonderful sci-fi episodes, and the highly most respected expert on the Twilight Zone are all there now, and they're going to be more weekly. Not only these conversations that you guys are part of, but also more conversations with people in the industry. And I want to thank you guys for your support, helping to keep this experiment going and going until we get to that utopian place, which might just end up being some cool club that we all are able to get into because we know the DJ. And I'll see you guys very soon. And as always, I hope all your times are Orville-tastic, utopian-ish fun times. Love you. Bye-bye.